As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. Today we have a returning guest, Gregory Mandarino, a former equities trader from the trading arm of Bear Stearns on Wall Street. Gregory now runs his own site, traderschoice.net, where he gives insight on the daily changes in the financial markets and how people can achieve financial independence through their own research and their own actions. Gregory, thank you for meeting us back here again on Reluctant Preppers.
Great to be back. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Tonight we'd like to talk with you about a topic that may be of interest to several of our segment of our audience. People who are interested in preparedness sometimes want to be able to leave the large metropolitan area behind, or not be as closely tied to the need for full-time employment at a regular job for their financial livelihood. And if they want to experience more types of independence, if they want the flexibility of relocating out to the country, or where they can raise their own food, that sort of thing, in order to open up more options and more freedom, more flexibility for them, we'd like it tonight if you could explore with us ideas for ways that people can achieve to make a living without having to have relying primarily on a job and without having to live in the big city. Are you game for that?
Sure. Let's talk about it. Absolutely.
All right. So from your experience on having done your own move from the big city out west, if you could give us a little bit of insight on some of what motivated you to leave Wall Street first and to strike out on your own? Because that's a huge plunge for anybody. It takes a huge leap of faith. It takes a lot of knowledge, self-confidence. So could you give us first just a little insight into what gave you the knowing that it was the right time for you to make your move?
Well, there was a lot to this. When I was at Bear, we're talking about back in the late 80s. You know, I'm an old guy. People always say, "Greg, how old are you?" I'm 50 years old, so I've done a lot of things in my life. I've always been involved with equity trading, but from Bear, we're talking almost a lifetime ago. But I think what people need to understand is they have to start really thinking outside the box. What do I mean by that is pretty straightforward. People seem to believe that they need to live by a certain dogma, meaning, working a 9-to-5 job, answering to a boss, and they're unwilling or afraid to try anything else. And I think this is a really important topic that you brought up, because this is something I've been trying to convey to people for years, that you don't need to do this. And I have tried my hardest with my website, traderschoice.net, posting free stock picks out there for people to capitalize on this. Look, where is all the wealth in the world? Well, it's pretty simple. It resides in the capital markets. That's where it is. People can try to attain a piece of that capital by, working at a job somewhere or doing whatever they want to earn money. But I say go right to the tap. And the tap is the New York Stock Exchange. And when I talk to people about trading and getting involved in this business, you can see the trepidation, the fear in their eyes. But this is nothing to be scared about. If people just are willing to put in a little bit of time, they can frankly change their lives greater than they can possibly imagine, and become their own boss, work when they want to. It's really the truth here. And it's kind of ironic that we're even doing this interview here today. I just released a 35-page brief. It's titled Insider Secrets, a simple, easy way to interpret charts for maximum profit. For the first time ever, I reveal how I interpret charts, the indicators that I use, the settings that I use. And I put this together in a very simple, easy way so people can understand this. It's not that hard to learn how to do this. With a little bit of practice, you would be shocked, I believe, most people would, at how quickly they will become adept at this and start earning money for themselves, start working for themselves. I urge every single person that is listening to this to go to my website, traderschoice.net. Right on the first page, just scroll down. You'll see this brief Insider Secrets, how to interpret charts for maximum profit, and get yourself a copy. It's $1.99. It's ridiculous. Hundreds of copies have already been downloaded. And also take advantage of my free ebook. It's a 197-page ebook, Ultimate Guide to Money in the Markets. It's completely free. There's no catches. There's no anything. You can get it at the same place where you get the other brief I wrote. And understand these concepts, and you can become your own boss and work out of your car, work out of your bathroom, work out of wherever you want to. This is what people need to understand. The cash is in the capital markets, all of it. So why not go right to the tap and get what's yours, period. You want to go work for some nasty boss who's going to tell you to go do this, that, and the other thing? Why not work for yourself? Why not work for yourself? And this is why I've been posting free picks on my site, traderschoice.net, for people that want to get involved, try to take a lot of the guesswork out of this whole thing for them. Now here, for the first time ever, I'm saying, hey, look, you can do this just the same way I do. It's not that hard. I urge people to think about it. Going right to where the cash is, to the tap, and that is the capital markets.
For people who got involved in any day trading, that sort of thing, back in the frothy markets of the .com bubble and that sort of thing, it seemed like everybody was giving stock tips. Everybody was quite confident for about 2 years there when the NASDAQ was putting on 97% in 1 year, I remember, and that sort of thing. And then things changed rather abruptly, and a lot of people got disenchanted and got out when the bubble burst. And what kind of words of wisdom do you have for people who want to know how they can benefit from some of the freedom and some of the flexibility that you're describing without necessarily exposing themselves to catastrophic losses?
Number one is forget about day trading. I am not a day trader. I am a short-term trader. You can't compete. You will lose. I've never known a successful day trader in my entire life. I would not even attempt it myself. Are there days where I enter and exit a trade on the same day within an hour or two? Of course there is, but it's very, very rare. When I'm looking to enter a trade, I'm looking in terms of weeks generally, days to weeks. In the short run, hours to a day or two, anything can happen, anything. So you gotta look at these things and I go over this in that brief. You got to look at these from a different perspective, a little bit longer time frame to try to make this work for you. And there are so many ways to take advantage of this here. Just for an example, when most people think about trading, they say, okay, let's say someone has $5,000 that they want to invest in a particular trade. So they do their research. They say, hey, you know what? Company XYZ looks really good. I'm going to go buy calls on XYZ. So what this person will generally do, and 99% of people will do this, is they'll go take that entire sum and they'll dump it into this XYZ trade, buy calls on XYZ. This is the biggest mistake that I think people make. You never, ever, ever do this. I never, ever do this. There's always the chance, obviously, that no matter how much work and research you do, with regard to even looking at these charts, that you can be wrong. So what you want to do in this kind of a situation is minimize your losses and maximize your gains. You minimize a loss very simply. Again, you enter a small position. You got $5,000 to invest in stock XYZ. You take half of it. You take $2,500 of that money. You put it into the position, whichever way you think is going to go, long or short, and then you wait. You see which way the trade goes. Now, if you notice that the trade is going in the direction you believe it will, you add to the position at that time. If you notice that this trade goes against you, you close this trade and you lose the minimum. This is the key to this, and this is why 99% of people will fail. They don't observe simple money management skills. And again, I go over this in that brief. This is the key, honestly, money management. So In this manner, you can actually be wrong more than half the time. More than half the time, like if you were throwing darts at a board, and still make money. It's really that simple, and I really hope that people start understanding that this is not an exclusive game to JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Greg Mandarino. This can be done by anyone with a little bit of work on their part, a little bit of study. You paper trade first using the techniques which I go over and I talk about all the time. And if you can make it work, then you start a real account. It's not that hard, people. It's harder to get up and work a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week by leaps and bounds than to do what I'm suggesting.
For people who are concerned about the potential for collapse of the economy or the dollar and the markets, we've certainly talked about that topic with you in the past and with some of our other guests as well. People would be leery of putting too much of their worth into their trading account, that sort of thing, thinking that at any point when they would least expect it and that the whole game could be off, right? The music stops playing and you can't get anything back. So what are the strategies that you use to hedge against that option and to help protect yourself so you keep taking profits off the table? Or what is it that you do to protect yourself?
I sweep my account. For example, let's say I have a few successful trades and I've made a nice amount of cash here. I'll pull it out of the market and I'll invest it in other things. As you know, my favorite investment on earth is precious metals, by far. Silver, the most, by leaps and bounds. I still stand by what I have been saying for years. Physical silver is the most undivided asset in the history of the world. And it's performed phenomenally this year so far. And I expect this to continue. I think the markets are going to fall under an enormous amount of pressure moving forward. I think we're going to see bond yields drop. We're going to see the dollar fall under pressure here. We are going to see precious metals continue to rise. I spoke about this exact scenario in December with Greg Hunter on USA Watchdog, and it has played out exactly that way. Gold to date is up 17%. And again, this trend will continue moving forward here. We have, without any doubt, in my opinion at least, way surpassed the point of critical mass. And this market will correct to fair market value at one time, all of it. And I'm not just talking about equities. I mean, I'm talking about precious metals, currencies, and debt. All of it will correct to fair market value. That's what we're counting on. That is going to happen as a mathematical certainty. No matter what they try to do, it won't work. To keep propping the system up, all it's doing is creating a larger problem, a financial Frankenstein, unlike the world has ever seen. And that's what I want people to understand. I believe that your followers are probably the most educated, understanding that none of this is sustainable. And this is leading to an absolute meltdown of the financial system on a global scale. And that is going to lead to a resource problem. Again, most people look at this and think, hey, you know what, this is a financial issue. It's not. This is a resource problem on a scale so grand, it's hard to actually get your head around.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're suggesting is that if people get paying attention and learning some of the skills and techniques and things to watch for, that they can, with proper money management and so on, that they can become successful traders. And then as part of that, part of their money management is that they can take some of their profits off the table and put them into things that are less dependent on the ongoing system that's a lot of the discussions we've had with you as far as based on high debt and other risks that are inherent in today's economy. But it sounds like the way that you do it is you do it both. You basically have it both ways. You're participating in the markets so that you can pull cash out of them, and then you're finding safe places to put that in things that have more intrinsic value.
Absolutely. That's the only way to do it, in my opinion, at this particular time. Bet against the system. You need to be betting against their system, and they can use their own dollars to do it. Basically, right now, just as a matter of fact, I'm short this market right now. I own June 188 puts on SPY, which is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. The market is, I believe, going to fall under pressure. And I'm not the only one. If anyone were to pop up an options statistics sheet with regard to ticker SPY, you will see that traders are betting against the S&P 500 at almost 2-1. So that should tell people something. That's something you also will not hear on CNBC, but that's a fact here. That people are getting smart, and traders are understanding that none of this is sustainable here. We have definitely crossed over into a new bear market, in my opinion. I was one of the few people on the planet who called the top of this market back in May, almost to the day. If anyone wants to see where I did that, it's also on my site, traderschoice.net. Right on the first page, I posted the video where I said the bull market is over, the bull run in stocks is over, and now the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down just about 2,000 points since that time. Kind of interesting, I think. But there's a lot more to go here. The fact of the matter remains is we are in a global slowdown. Money velocity globally is at historic lows, despite what we might be seeing in certain countries who are experiencing hyperinflation right now, which is going to end up happening here. And this is why we're not seeing massive inflation here yet. In the United States is the money velocity issue, which is at a 4-decade low. That also will change at one particular time, because it's the basic understanding of how the system works. It should make it easy for people to get it. And it just comes down to this. You have world central banks that have flooded the world with debt to the point of beyond belief. And at one particular time, when that is, who knows, we're going to have all of these extra bills chasing the same amount of goods. And you do not need to be a rocket scientist to figure out what that means. And it's going to be very ugly at one point. There's no way world central banks are going to be able to control their balance sheets or sell the debt. They can't do it. So there is no way out of what's coming. This is a mathematical certainty that we will at one point experience a complete meltdown. Is going to start in the debt market. We're already starting to see it. You're starting to see bond yields drop despite the quote-unquote fact that the Federal Reserve has claimed that they have raised interest rates. The Federal Reserve has raised nothing. They have raised the federal funds rate, really? I want to see proof of that, number one. And number two, the market isn't buying it. Look at the U.S. 10-year today. It's like 1.71. So this whole rate hike thing is a farce. It's a big lie. They never did it. They can't do it. They won't do it in this environment. So that's where we're at. Central banks have created a financial monster unlike anything the world has ever seen. And unfortunately, this thing that they've created is going to wreak havoc on every single citizen and living thing on this earth when this bubble bursts. This is a greater threat to humankind than a nuclear exchange. I hope that your listeners would just take 2 seconds and Google this: global debt and the human bubble. Global debt and the human bubble. It's an article I wrote about this exact topic. It's very short. Take 2 minutes to read it. But you have to understand, I believe that people who are prepping get it. But no one's going to come out unscathed here. I don't care how well prepared you are for what's coming. In a worst case scenario, and you always have to think of things in a worst case scenario, millions of people are going to lose their lives all over the world.
And you've talked with us in the past about the sort of the inevitability of that. You've talked about us being past that critical mass where you don't see any healthy resolution, any soft landing, anything like that really being possible, but more of a convulsive reset. For people who want, as they prepare and try what they can to protect themselves from that, one of the ways that you've described is basically learning how, in the meanwhile, while the markets are operating or whatever, to pull cash out of them. If people are concerned, also, I'll just keep tossing out, possible objections, and you can keep explaining, different perspectives on that. Another possible objection is people think, well, okay, if I move out away from a job and I'm generating a significant income through trading activity or whatever, I can't spend my whole day, every moment of the day, glued to the screen watching every wiggle of the charts. I've got to go feed the chickens. I got to milk the goat. I got to go pull weeds in the garden or whatever. So in order for your people to be successful, what's your estimation of a responsible amount of time per day or per week that they need to be spending, paying very focused, close attention to what's going on?
Well, like anything else, like I said, look, nothing comes for nothing. Nothing comes for free in this world, period. So if someone wants to be a trader, and not a day trader, again, I am a short-term investor. Forget about day trading. It may sound sexy, but I don't care how good you may think you are. You will not succeed. So stay away from trying to get involved in momentum day trades. Over time, you will lose money. There's no doubt in my mind, like I said earlier, over the years, I have known thousands of people who've attempted to do something like that, and not one of them has ever been successful over the long run. So you got to stay away from that. But with regard to, placing a position here, again, we're not looking to exit these in an hour or two. We're looking at this over several days. So you would just have to reevaluate your position, and see what what you would need, your next action would be. Do you want to close this trade? Is it a losing trade? Is it making money? Do you want to add to that trade? Stuff like it's really not that complex. How many hours a day do people? It's really hard to say. I mean, I'm not sitting here glued to a computer screen all day long during the trading day. I usually get up at the time the market opens. I see what's going on. I do follow the futures markets overnight on my iPhone. Several times a day, while I'm watching TV or something, I'll look at the futures markets. I'll see what's going on overseas. I'll look at my own account in the morning, see how my trades are performing. I'll decide at that point whether if I'm going to keep these trades going or if I'm going to add to these trades going. I mean, just a classic example is what I just did today. I took up this. I bought puts again on ticker SPY, June 188 puts several days ago. I'm watching the market. Yesterday, the market did gain 200 points on speculation that OPEC would cut production with regard to crude oil. That reversed almost completely today because that speculation turned out to be wrong. I added to that position today. I believe there's going to be further pressure on this market. Will the market go up tomorrow? It might, but I'm again looking further down the line. Again, it's all about an attitude. It's about understanding that, as a trader, you will not, I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, you will not win every single trade. My long-term success rate is somewhere around 70%. Sometimes I run lower, sometimes I run higher. Frankly, that is phenomenal. I can't imagine anyone doing better than that, even institutional investors. Again, I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I do put a lot of time in here. But anyone can do it. Look, I'm no smarter than anybody listening to the show. That's a fact. But again, I have a perspective on this. I understand how the markets work. I've been doing my best, along with people like yourself, to put this into perspective for people so they can understand what they need to do. But there are so many ways to get out of their system and to make this work for you. And again, I can't imagine a better way than to going right to the tap. Again, the capital markets is where the cash is. You can get to that cash through a roundabout way. For example, working for a boss or two, and working your 9-to-5 job, or you can do it this way. The choice is really up to you, up to the people that are listening here. If you feel like you're incapable of doing this, well, then stay away. If you believe that you can, devote some time to this and develop the proper mindset by using the right tools, well, then bravo. Welcome to the world of Wall Street. But again, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes for free. Everything takes a little bit of work.
Any other sound advice from your side? You've got, decades of experience at this, and you're still standing. For someone, you mentioned, don't put all your funds into one trade. You mentioned don't let something go against you and not close it out if it's moving against you, so that you limit your losses. Any other clear guidelines that you would say to help people who want to be responsible at this?
Number one and number two, go to my website. That would be number one. Download a copy of my free ebook, Ultimate Guide to Money in the Markets. Read through that. If you're still interested in learning how to get into these markets and make this work, break down, spend $1.99, and download my brief Insider Secrets how to interpret charts the easy way for maximum profit. I can't imagine a better way to start to get involved here than those two things.
Well, Greg, thanks so much again for being here on Reluctant Preppers. It's really helpful to us to get sober advice from people who've been on the inside and are now independent, and yet seeing that there's more than one way to look at the risk that's out there, and still being able to draw income from today's markets while socking away that cash that people pull out of that into things that they know have more intrinsic value. So thanks again for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers.
Been great. Thank you.